Hey, what's up everybody? It's RuTech. Today we will be talking about a premium keyboard which I received about 4 months ago and regretfully took this long to make a video on, the CK720 with the brown switches. I had a rough summer and I'm finally getting back around to making videos again, and this keyboard was always a bit of a story. It would be an open box of a keyboard in my room and my friends would always love to type on it just for fun because it's very satisfying and premium feeling. And then they would ask how I got it. I'd tell them it was sent to me for review and they'd look confused and ask me why I haven't made a video on this sweet keyboard yet. So that being said, here I am, and I certainly am upset with myself for taking so long to make this video because this was a fun one to make. So without further ado, let's get started. Firstly, by taking a look at the unboxing. In the box, you get, of course, the keyboard itself, instructions, the cable, and some replacement switches. Pretty standard stuff. Now, I recall when I recorded this about 3 to 4 months ago when I first typed on the thing, it was very clear that this keyboard isn't just some thrown together, quick manufactured piece. It is quality, it has weight to it, it isn't hollow so you won't get a shallow sounding keystroke, the outer body is made of metal, and there's a very nice feeling metal volume knob. It's just a prime example of the phrase, you get what you pay for, but in a positive light. For $100 you can definitely get a variety of different 65% keyboards, but from brands that aren't super reputable and aren't giving you full metal chassis, aren't hot swappable, falsely advertising, etc., etc. From what I can tell, this CoolerMaster keyboard is your best option for the price range because it doesn't have any of those issues. So now let's move on to the sound test because we both know that is the main thing you'll be waiting for here. As I said, this is a brown switch keyboard. So I'll be using 2 different mics, a lavalier mic and a shotgun mic. The lav mic will give you a more close-up isolated sample of how the keyboard sounds, whereas the shotgun mic will give you more of that room sound, as in how it'll sound from a bit of a distance away and how the sound kind of reverberates around in the room. I would say my room is pretty full of furniture and wall panels and whatnot, so not exactly soundproofed, but enough to make the sound a little bit more isolated sounding. Okay, so first let's hear the shotgun mic sample. All right, and now the lavalier mic sample. And for comparison's sake, here's what my Keychron C1 sounds like using that shotgun mic. Okay, so that should give you more than enough of an idea on how this keyboard sounds. If you couldn't tell already, I am clearly a fan. One thing to bear in mind is that this keyboard also comes in red and white switches, which will be weighted a little differently and sound different too. So if you're looking for those types of switches, they sound and feel different. I'll link some videos to sound samples of those in my description, as well as purchasing links for them in my description. Now the kickstand is pretty cool because it has 2 separate ones, one being a little less steep than the other, but by default, this keyboard is giving you a 5-degree incline. And bear in mind these kickstands do have rubber bumpers on the bottom of them, so the keyboard won't be sliding around on, say, a wooden surface. Okay, so let's take a deeper dive and check out the dial. Bear in mind this dial doesn't just rotate, but it is also a button that you can press. This thing has 4 default profiles: volume up, down, and press to mute, brightness up, down, and press to turn off screen, next track, previous track, and press to play or pause, and cycle RGB LED modes and press to change the mode speed incrementally. And last but not least, we have the software being Masterplus Suite, which is a unified control hub that won't just work specifically for this keyboard, but also all other CoolerMaster peripherals that you may have. Side note though, you don't need the software to use the keyboard and change the LED modes, but it is absolutely a useful thing to have. So this is the screen it'll give you when you open up the software. You want to click up here and go to CK720, and then you're presented with lighting, key mapping, macros, and profiles. So lighting obviously is how you set up how you want the lighting to look. You can set it to static like I do. You can have that rainbow wave, crosshair, where if you hit a key, it'll make a cross of the key you hit. Reactive fade, same thing, it's kind of a ripple effect. stars, etc. I'll show you guys all the lighting effects at the end of the video. Next we have key mapping. So how does this work? Well, you click on a key, any key you want. Let's say this greater than symbol, I think, or less than, one of the two. And then you pretty much click this drop down menu. You can set it to whatever you want. So I already made a macro. So let's click macro 1, this one I made earlier. I'll show you how to make one in a second. Click save. So now every time I hit this key, it will execute that macro. So how do you make a macro? It's very simple. You come up here, click the macro sign, and then you type in the name of the macro you want right here. So macros 2, let's call it. And then click the plus sign. And then once that's executed, it's selected. And now you can come over here, and here's your record button. So you can make whatever macro you want. So I'm gonna click record and tap A a million times, right? Then you click stop. And this is how macros 2 will behave now, right? And it tells you the input delay too. It's very cool. So now let's go back to key mapping. Let's reconfigure this. So let's set it to actually macros 2, click save. So now every time I hit this key, it's going to do what I just did right here with all these very specific input delays. So it's very intuitive, very simple. And lastly, we have profiles. So all this stuff we just did, we can just switch over to profile 2. Let's say we make totally different macros, key mappings, lighting configurations. That'll all be saved to profile 2, but I'm gonna stick with profile 1 because yeah, I don't think I'm gonna have that many different configurations of this keyboard. And that's pretty much it for this software. Again, it's very simple, very intuitive, and easy to use. All right, now let's finally take a look at all the lighting modes that come with this keyboard. First up, we have static, which is just one singular color. Now the keyboard isn't at max brightness, so let me turn that up real quick. Okay, so this is what the keyboard looks like at max brightness, and then dim it down a little bit to give you guys a little bit of perspective. Next, we have rainbow wave, which will cycle through all the colors in a linear horizontal fashion. You can also mess with the speed. After that, we have crosshair, which will simply put a cross where you type. Next is reactive fade, which is pretty similar to crosshair, except it'll only light up the singular key you press. Next is stars, which will make your keyboard a very scenic starry night. After that comes ripple, which will horizontally make a ripple effect from where you type. And after that is fireball, pretty self-explanatory. Now for water ripple, if you want a circular ripple as opposed to a horizontal one with the last ripple effect. Next is punch, which is really similar to reactive fade, except instead of one key getting lit up, it's that key and all adjacent keys. And then we have snowing, which will give a cool falling snow effect. After that comes heartbeat. It'll give a kind of veiny effect. I'm honestly not too sure how to explain this one, but it is pretty cool. Now for circular spectrum, which will have the entire color spectrum going in a circle from the center. And lastly, we have reactive tornado, which is the same as last, except instead of coming from the center, it comes from where you type. So that will wrap up today's review video on the CK720 60% keyboard. I actually 100% recommend this keyboard, not just for its build quality, not just for its intuitiveness with the software and lighting configuration ability, but also because of the price. $100 for this, in my opinion, is a total bargain. Any details that I might have not mentioned will be found on the keyboard's website, which I'll have a link to in the description. And if you're convinced enough that this is something you want to buy, the link to this is in the link to this is in the keyword. The link to this is in the description. I'm really glad to be back uploading on YouTube, and I hope to see you guys again soon. Thanks for watching. Peace out.